This episode is presented in partnership with Recap Recovery Drink. Recap Recovery is your go-to when recharging your batteries. Whether it's after a hard workout or a long night with friends at the bar, Recap replenishes your body with a refreshing taste, rich in electrolytes to bring you back to full steam after a hard day or night's work. Recap Recovery has hit the market at Couche-Tard, and you'll want to bring it home to taste today. Check them out at recap-products.com to make your order and find them when they'll be available in stores near you. Recap Recovery is also a proud partner of Dexter Stacy, and we're proud to rep them on the Stickers N Scuffs Podcast in 2023.
Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team at Stickers N Scuffs Podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
Well, aside from our one special episode with Kendra Adams coming up following this one on Saturday, this is officially the finale of Sunset Speedway month here on the Stickers N Scuffs Podcast. We might have to do this again because there's so many great stories out of Sunset. And my favorite name of racing right now is Paradzinski. And we're going to have to bring on the man that owns that last name, which is Johnny Paradzinski, in the number 4 mini stock at Sunset Speedway. Johnny, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Great to be on the show.
Well, thank you. We had to get you on because this has been a long time coming, man. I first saw your number 4 out at Sunset last year, and should have come and said hi and was too nervous to do so. That's kind of gone away, the nervousness. Now people can't get rid of us at the racetrack. But first off, I got to know, why a mini stock?
Well, in all fairness, it's the budget. It is. I mean, once you're in the sport, nothing is budget friendly, no matter what. But out of the class, out of the classes, you get the speed thrill of it and the side-by-side racing, and for the most part there's lots of good class in the class, and still not breaking the budget and still able to carry a mortgage and all that stuff.
That's an important thing, because you got a busy household out there, Johnny. I don't know how many you got little critters running around, but seems like a lot.
Yep, we got three kids, 9, 4, and 8 months old now, and my wife opening her own business, so it's definitely a busy time here.
Yeah, busy times for sure in the Paradzinski household. Is the path of succession opened up here? Does that mean you got some little drivers following in Dad's footsteps?
Well, the oldest, he only wants to be at the track for his friends and all that stuff, and that's okay. Yeah. He's more into the sports side of like the hockey and the baseball, and okay, no problem. He'll be fully supported and all that stuff. The little girl, on the other hand, she's already got her scheme picked out. She wants a junior late model. All she wants to do is drive the riding lawnmower and help Dad load the car and help Dad work on the car. So I think she'll be the first second generation driver.
Awesome.
I love to hear that, and that's a cool little program that they have out at Sunset Speedway. Those And not just Sunset, the other tracks run the junior late models, but it's such a cool little division. And I think we'll be frank, we didn't really know much about the junior late models for a long period of time. But, what's really cool about Sunset is the various amount of divisions that you guys do have. We've learned a lot about the weekly racing through basically the change from our podcast focus. We were really looking at mainstream big time motorsports when we first started, and man, we have both fallen in love with what you guys do week in and week out. It is because you guys are the real heroes of tomorrow. Really, you are the guys and gals really that are putting on the work boots every day and then still working in the shop afterwards and working on the car and racing on the weekends. And how did you come to find racing, Johnny? Was it like growing up watching a race on TV, or was it going to the racetrack?
Well, I actually grew up, my dad and my grandmother and my grandfather, they actually were straight racers. They drag raced.
Oh, okay.
And I grew up all the time, every Friday night. My dad would pick me up from daycare or kindergarten and pick my mom up from school. We'd go to the same Burger King on the way to Cayuga, and me and my mom would watch my dad do passes after passes until I couldn't keep my eyes open no more. And that was back in the days of my dad. He had a 89 and a half Mustang, Fox body.
Nice.
And I would fall asleep wearing his helmet in the back seat, and he even taught me how to turn the nitrous bottle on from the back seat. So that's showing the age there. Just by you're allowed to have nitrous in the car, you're not allowed to do that no more. So that's how we kind of grew up around cars. And I actually grew up in Mississauga, and my grandfather.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I moved. But my grandpa, he would take me to Flamborough ever since I can remember. I think I was like 4, 5, 6 years old when I first was going to Flamborough. And back when they had, there was no such thing as a super stock. It was a street stock and a Thunder car.
Yeah.
That was back in those days. And that even then it was, I think Randy Rusnell, he was driving a bright yellow 20 Malibu for someone else after he was done with his Le Mans at the time. And I think David Elliott and Gary Elliott were still both running late model. Scott Mast and Matthew Dean were the two hot shoes in mini stock. And that was like what I grew up remembering. And we sat in the same spot at Flamborough for years. We never missed a race. And then eventually we moved up north and Flamborough became Sunset. And one day I was going to the racetrack with my friends and family at the time and decided, you know what, screw it. I'm sick of being in the stands. Let's try this. So we bought a car, and the year later I was addicted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be how it happens, right, Graydon? Sound familiar?
Yeah, it's a disease that the only way, there's no known cure. You just got to keep scratching the itch, and you just kind of worked your way up to your car. Johnny, tell us about that beautiful number 4 car.
So this actually is not my original car. My original car I actually bought off of Warren Paxton back in after Autumn Colors 2015 is when I brought it home and spent the winter painting, just getting the car was basically ready because it was his old championship car. Nice. And so he had built a different car that he was running, and this was essentially his backup car for the championship. And once the season was done, he said, "Yep, here you go." So the body was ready, motor was ready, everything was ready. So it was basically paint it up, send it to Craig at Image Wraps. He wrapped it up nicely and just ready for practice. And that was pretty much it. And the car that I have now is actually Corey Young's old car. This one was when they were for sale. This car was the number 06 that was for sale.
Now,
nice.
You cannot continue without telling me what the reaction was when you showed up with the race car when you brought it home?
Well, at the time I was still living at my parents' house, and I basically had already made the purchase. And I asked my dad, "Hey, Dad, what would you do if I bought a race car?" He goes, "Yeah, sure, I'd help you out." Okay, good, because I bought a race car, and we're gonna go pick it up in a couple weeks. And sure enough, he's just like, "Oh shit, what do we get ourselves into?" And we didn't have a truck, we didn't have a trailer, so we rented a U-Haul and a tow dolly from U-Haul and went and picked it up. And basically our whole entire first year, one of our sponsors sponsored us a tow dolly, and we towed it around with a caravan for the very first year.
That is so badass. A caravan. I love it.
Yeah. That, as you spoke to kind of at the top of the show, the economic benefits, as you say, I mean, racing, any way you slice it, is it burns a hole in the finances. But I mean, in terms of what you're racing, it is a very easy on the wallet type of race where you do have, it's not two bent chassis. It's a production vehicle where you have a certain degree of aftermarket or scrap parts available to you. So, I mean, from the owner businessman side of it, talk about kind of what it takes to put a season together.
Well, first and foremost, we always have the issue of parts. Where, like,
right.
For example, my first car was a 1989 car. They don't make parts for that anymore. They don't. The aftermarket support isn't very much there anymore. And then now my car that I have in the garage right now is the exact same age as me. I Googled the VIN, and it's actually a February 1994 car, which I'm a February 1994 baby. So it was, I call it fate, but whatever. But even now, I go to so the car is a 1994 Honda Civic EG Civic, and it shares the same platform as an Integra. Mm-hmm. Well, we go to the junkyards all the time, and there's not many there. Basically, you got to find a scrapped car that's not roadworthy, and you got to buy it for the overpriced price that they are now, and do it. Back when I was starting out, even then, that in 2016 to now, so that's 7 years or 8 years, whatever.
We don't do this job for the math.
Yeah. Nope. It's been a long day. It's been hot today.
Yeah.
Exactly what Braden said.
Yep. Construction. It's that sun just beats the crap out of you.
Yep.
But we even then, tires were $200 a tire now, and with the speeds that we're going, they don't last as what they used to. I used to be able to get a month out of a set of tires. Now I can't get a right rear longer than 2 race days.
Oh wow.
It is what it is. It's the payoff that to go to this like I can make a tire last a month, but I'm not going to be doing 16 ones going in the corners.
Yes.
Right. So until the rules allow us a little bit more rear camber, unfortunately, that's the cost that we're going to have to do is two race tires, unfortunately. So and fortunately, I drive a Honda Civic. So the motor side of the expense, it's you go to JDM Direct, you pull it off the shelf, throw a set of valve springs in it, and you go to town. And you link and weld the trannies. So drivetrain wise, they're pretty cheap. But and even then, like bearings, bushings, you're all under $1,000 to do that every year. And pretty much, other than tires, it is pretty cost effective.
There's not a ton of Hondas in the junkyard because they're still on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I one of the things that really kind of drawn me into the mini stock division, and that's really what it is, man, is I love seeing cars that look exactly as they were. Like we can look on I've seen that car on the track or on the road, you know, and they're comparable that way. And you know, I do wish we could see a couple more, like, you know, divisions of cars that are literally right off the road. You know, I'd love to see like van racing and shit like that. Because I mean, you can't tell me that there's not a billion Dodge Caravans out in junkyards right now. I'm just saying.
I own one.
There we go. Right. So I'm just saying, Sunset Speedway, let's get a van division going because van racing could be the way of the future. Man, those things would drive terrible too. So, yeah.
4 containment seats in it, take the whole fam jam.
There you go, right?
Yeah, 5 kids or 3 kids.
I mean, Sunset, you come up with such great ideas for promotions. I mean, that's the perfect one right there. Forget King of the Hill. You get Family on the Hill or something like that, eh? Just
I know a great insurance guy too.
Perfect. Well, so again, Mini Stock division this year is absolutely stacked. You guys have put on. We were lucky enough to be there for 2 weekends already. No offense to the other divisions, but you guys are putting on some of the best. I'm gonna say that maybe the past last week was maybe not as great in terms of the way things went. It was a little chaotic, a little crash heavy, but man, you've got some competitors in that series. You've got some young kids in that series. I think one of the youngest is 13, perhaps, racing you guys in there. You got men, you got women. What else can you do to sell mini stocks for us?
Honestly, I love the whole stock look. That's why I love the Hot Rod series. I love that. I was so up for doing another complete bone stock looking Honda Civic like I did last year. Unfortunately, it cost about $800 for a hood and front bumper nowadays.
Oh,
for a Honda Civic. So that was a little out of the equation, considering for the metal and the bumper cover and the hood, I think I was a total of $200 to change over to the late model front end. So that sort of thing, I wish it was easier to maintain that stock look. Like Doug Butler's car, Eric York's car, they look awesome. I love that.
So good.
I love the look in the 23D. Like he's got the stock neon looking.
Yeah.
I wish there was like an aftermarket bumper cover that I could just go and buy off the shelf, relatively easy, made out of plastic. Like if I could do that, I would be doing that all day long. And it just, I can't justify spending $800. I did it last year just because, you know what? I got to keep the look going, and it looked hot. I loved it. It just, I can't justify bumping someone with an $800 front bumper anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you're right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right though. It's the most wide variety. You have older gentlemen, like you got still Bob Fiddlemore still going, and then you have the young Trayton started in it when he was like 11, I think, or 12 or something like that.
You got Ryder White, who looks like he belongs looks like he belongs in the junior late still. Like,
well, I stood beside him and I was like, "Aren't you the same like height as my daughter?" And she's like 4, and it's like I'm like trying to justify. I'm like, "Are you this? No, I don't know."
And he finished 6th, I think it was. Like, unbelievable. I
followed him for a bit there and in practice, and he's definitely on the right track. And in a couple years, he's definitely going to be one of the forces to be reckoned with. And he's definitely getting smoother, working the bugs out of the car. But you can definitely see, especially from when his first night out to even last week, you can see a huge improvement in him. And it's a guy that I can see in the next couple of years being very comfortable behind the wheel and definitely going side by side with. And then who else are you going to have a complete rookie mixing it up with a veteran like Doug Butler and Tyler Seaboyer? And it's like, where are we ever going to get that? You're not going to have that in late model. You're not going to have that in the mods. And just the wide variety of drivers that you have, it's amazing.
It's the variety of drivers, a variety of cars. Like, again, Graydon, I mean, maybe we got to get the Beetle out for this. Like, we talked about doing it at Delaware, but maybe Sunset's in the mini stock the way to go. Because I tell you, I love the variety of vehicles, and that's the coolest thing for me. Is because you said you were driving an '89. I think you said it was an '89 Civic before, right? Now you're driving what year's the car that you're driving now?
1994.
See,
yes,
you don't see these cars on the road very often anymore, right? So
no.
Where else we don't need to crush them. We need to race them. That's the natural way things need to go.
Correct.
So when you go out and find a mini stock, all right, What is it that you were looking for? Why did you end up picking these cars? Yes, they're championship winning cars, but was there a reason behind, hey, I'm going to go with this one, or I can't possibly drive this car because my allegiance is to this brand?
Well, when I originally sold my first car, it was parts relatively, I couldn't get them. I couldn't get it. And I knew the car was like the last time before I sold that car, it won the night at Sunset. And I sold it 2 weeks later. And I knew that's the most money I'm going to get for it. That's the best bang for my buck. I'm going to cut ties and do it. And I actually left Mini Stock division and I went outlaw midget racing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, sounds familiar, eh? Great. Holy.
I raced outlaw midgets for, I would say, good part of 3/4 of a season. The reason why I stopped was I raced Peterborough and Varney within 3 weeks, and I ended up with bruised ribs just because of how aggressive and the no suspension, and they're not very smooth tracks. So it actually hurt me to go to work on Monday, and that's when I had to cut ties with the Outlaws. They're a great bunch. Those cars are fun to drive, and I actually had success when I still had so with the Outlaw midgets, they throw a little caution tape or a little piece of yellow flag on the halo to signify you're a rookie. And if you have the halo, you have to start scratch in the race just to get your bearings. I think it was the second race at Sunset. I had started scratch because I was still a rookie, and we ended up third.
Nice.
That's
awesome.
Race. And we actually at Varney, we were leading before we got spun out, coming off of 4, and that was after that it hurt too.
Yeah,
like my ribs were done, so I cut ties there. And then I actually decided to take a venture away from Honda and still in the mini stock division when Jukasa announced the short track nationals, and that when they were doing the mini stocks at Jukasa on the Thursday. And I was like, I'm not missing this. And I actually bought a Neon.
no way.
I actually bought Mike Robinson Jr.'s 95.
Okay.
And I put new stickers on it, did a bolt check, set it all up, went out and blew it up lap 2.
Oh,
damn.
And then that car is actually Pat Farrow's now. The number 8, the one that he races at Sunset, that's actually that old car. And my old original car is actually Brock Baker has it for sale now.
Still kicking around.
It's still kicking around, and I don't know where my outlaw midget was actually. Last year it was number 4 again. It was blue and yellow. It was yellow cage, and it was number 4. So that was originally my car. And then when I was on the hunt, so I decided after that mini stock, I'm done. I'm done racing. Can't do this no more. And my wife said, "Bullshit. You're not done." And she actually pushed me to go and do it again.
Yeah.
So I was looking around very quietly about getting another car, and Corey ended up posting his, and I'm like, no, yes, no, I don't know. And then one of his 2 cars sold. The one that he actually ran, the 36, sold, and it's out right now, I believe. And I messaged him. I'm like, how much? And he shoots me a price. I'm like, damn, that's a good price. And I pondered on it for I think a month before I said yes. And then I actually, because he was completely getting out of mini stock racing altogether, so I bought his car and every single part he owned for those cars, to the point where I had to rent a U-Haul to go actually pick it up. And one of my best friends, Tyler Seaboyer, he was actually the best man at my wedding. He came and helped me out, and then we did a quick paint job on it because my newest career is MEI paving, and Josh Stoddy and Dwayne Stoddy, they always had the yellow cars, and for all their help of moving me and accepting me into the family and everything, I did one of Josh's old schemes on his limited late, or no, his first or second pro late. I did the throwback scheme on it, all yellow with the red stripe, and surprised them with it. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
When's Josh going to put you in his APC late model? Come on.
Oh, I don't know. I can't afford to write that one off.
You have to pave everything if that happens.
I think I'm going to be working for free for a couple of years if that ever happens.
You talked about Flamborough being kind of your earlier memories as a race fan, and then you made the move to Sunset. Now you get to drive at Sunset. I myself have kind of like a bucket list kind of empty box to race at Sunset. What's it meaning to race at that place? And because, man, it looks fun. I mean, it does look a little bit intense sometimes, and it gets pretty crazy, but man, those high banks look pretty awesome. What does Sunset mean to you, Johnny?
Honestly, Sunset's home. No matter good days, bad days, it doesn't matter. I moved 2.5 hours away. I live out near Owen Sound now. And I have Varney is 20 minutes away and Sauvel's 20 minutes. I live smack dab right in the middle of those two places. And I still drive the 2.5 hours to Sunset Speedway. There's something about that place, having the class, and the only thing I would say is it's a little intimidating, the new people having the inside wall. And I understand that. I get that. Yeah. But once you get past that, you realize that there's 3 lanes there. You can run 3 wide if you need, side by side, lap after lap.
You guys have done that. Yep. 3 wide.
Yep. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yep. But you can run side by side with lots of room, and because it is such a momentum track, you can have the low horsepower cars like the Honda Civics keeping up with the Mustangs and 240s, and it definitely rewards a smooth and driver and a person who actually can hit their lines, hit their marks, where you can't just use power to compensate for that and everything like that. So Sunset really is the place that I call home. No, even though I really, really want to win a race at Flamborough one day, because that is the original home. I will not hang up the helmet until there is a checker flag in my hand at Flamborough, but Sunset is home.
That was a great account of what it's like to race at the track. I mean, taking into account how you say the momentum base with the low horsepower, and you can kind of hang, and it shows that the driver can really make up for a ton of that. It makes me want to race there even more now.
It is honestly such a nice place. And any person who ever starts behind me knows that my car has no power. Lisa York's was famous for that in Mighty Minis back in the day. If ever she started behind me, she'd always give me the push to get that extra couple horsepower. Even a couple weeks ago, Doug Butler, he gave me the nudge, like, "Hey, let's go. Our line's not moving because you aren't." No, it's really fun track.
And they've done one hell of a job this year with their promotion, everything that they're doing. We want to commend them. Obviously, one of the reasons why we are going to Sunset so much this year is they've done a great job at selling it. And you guys, the show that you guys have been putting on in all the divisions this year, definitely warrants it. Johnny, how do you drive it? How do you have to drive it? Because we've seen and we've heard from people that actually it's the high side that you want to get going on at Sunset Speedway. We've had guys like Andrew Ranger, 3-time champion of the Pinty Series, say that he just cannot, for the life of him, figure it out. He can't get Sunset Speedway. I think Chad McGlynn, we've talked to, he struggles every time that he goes to Sunset Speedway. And again, another well-accomplished champion, he said, whatever I do, I cannot figure it out. How do you drive Sunset Speedway?
Well, I know coming from the Outlaw Midgets and rear-wheel drive, and I've actually driven a Mustang one night there at Sunset Speedway for Cameron McGlashan when he was off at a wedding one night. And being the front-wheel drive guy, you drive it totally different from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive. 100% different. We the way we roll the center, the way we back up the corners, they're 100% night and day different. The way we pick up the throttle, we steer mostly with I steer mostly with trail braking and with rolling the center, where the rear wheel drive guys, they usually steer with the throttle a little bit more. That's why when you see the late models come off the corner, they're just catching the car almost, so to speak. And for me, if I have a choice of inside outside on a restart, I'm choosing the outside all day, just because for the first 2 laps, I'll go into corner 1 without hitting the brakes. You don't have enough speed for my car. Cool. You don't have enough speed to go into turn 1, and because turn 2 your exit is so broad that you have time to wash up and let the car run up. And hopefully if you can clear the guy off of 2, then it's great. But if not, you have such a wide entry that you can late apex the corner so much off of 4 that you get such a drive. But it all depends on who you're driving against.
He's taking notes.
If you're up against a Mustang, you want to pinch the Mustang down because the Mustang needs room to use the power. The Nissans, they're hit and miss because it depends on who it is. Eric York, you don't want him up top, especially now that he's on dirt. You don't want him up top. Doug Butler, you don't want him down low. And a lot of them, it's you got to chase when you go side by side with them, and you learn where they're strong and all that stuff. You learn where to pinch them up, where to pinch them down, and all that stuff. But I actually talked to JR after the APC race 2 weeks ago, and because he had a bad fast car in the first half of the race, and he didn't have a car for the second half. And I asked him, I'm like, what'd you change? He goes, it's this track. It's the track. You could show up lightning fast, do absolutely nothing to the car other than maintenance, and come back and you're 6/10 slow. And it's like, it's the track. That's the beauty about Sunset Speedway, is it will not let you put your car in a trailer and take it off the trailer. You have to work on your stuff there, and that to be consistent and fast.
Sunset roulette.
It really is.
Yeah, I like that.
And we've definitely, I think, great. And I think right there, we've been waiting for somebody to really talk about like how racing and how driving is a chess match. Literally right there Johnny has just explained kind of, I don't think we've ever really heard from drivers that side of it. I'm thinking about how somebody else's racing is how you are going to race them. Like that is fascinating to hear, because obviously, like you said, you're getting people from all different levels of experience in the mini stock division. You've got guys like Doug Butler, who is a champion and really knows these cars in and out. You've got Ryder White, who's just coming into the series for the first time. You've got guys and gals that are brand new, or maybe they're just visiting as well. That's the other thing that you can have is people coming in and racing that you're not familiar with. Absolutely fascinating. And obviously we would go on for hours and hours and hours, Johnny. But obviously podcasts have a limit as well. And we don't want to drag it out too long, but we do want to give you an opportunity because you have some amazing partners on that number 4 car. So we want to give you an opportunity to shout them out.
Yeah, I got some awesome people on board with me, especially this year. First and foremost, I got to thank my family. They're hands down one of the best. My mom, my dad, always there supporting me. My wife, my kids. My wife, huge. Like, she takes the kids not only for my race day, she takes them for the Stoddy Motorsports Racing Series and all that, and all the random stuff that I do in the shop and all that stuff. Huge shout out to her. And then obviously we have the whole Stoddy crew with all the stuff they do and all the stuff I learned from them. And MEI Paving, that's the Stoddies. and APC, Bruce Sales APC, is actually also the Stotties. That's their other business. And then we also have my wife's business, Hairosity Beauty Bar. She just opened that one up. And then we have Image Wraps, always making the car look great. Craig does a awesome job. Not only my car, he does a lot of great other cars out there. And you always know when an Image Wraps car is out there. I would give that one to him. We have Cookies by Design. They're out of Barrie. Austin, he always comes out to every single race. I wish Kathleen would come out some more. And then we have Georgian Bay Woodworking. Shane's a great guy. He's on a few cars. We also have Nickel Insurance, Matt Brown. He's the insurance guy especially for that van stuff. We got to get him on board. We have Brewed Coffee Bar. It's a local bar, Brewed Coffee. It's a local place in Chesley. We also have Chesley Service Center, which their grand opening is this Saturday. So if you're out in the Chesley area, definitely come out Saturday and check it out. My car will be there, and there's a lot of great prizes that they're giving away. We also have BMAC Auto. He's actually he told me not to put a sticker on the car, but I did it anyway because he's stubborn. And also got the amazing podcast, Stickers N Scuffs. Those guys, you guys always put a smile on my face every single time I listen to you guys. And it's great that you guys are actually not only showing support to the high guys, you're also showing support to the little guys and giving them an uproar too. And I really appreciate that too. And I know a lot of other people do too.
Well, you guys deserve it. Honestly, you guys do, because without you guys, there is no future higher ups. That's the reality of it. Hopefully we can continue to grow racing and Sunset Speedway. We just want to give a quick shout out to them for us. They've been amazing this year and in the past, but this year especially, we've really kind of formed a bond with them, and we're really excited to go to several events. I think we're going to be up in about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 events at Sunset this year, which is 6 more than I think we did last year. So I think we only did maybe 1, maybe 2 last year. But no, it's absolutely great. Brian, Sandra, Brendan, huge props to Brendan for all he does for you guys, because man, Sunset Scott, I tell him all the time he's my favorite announcer, and he just it's like, no, you announce every friggin' company on a race car multiple times throughout a broadcast.
Yes, he does.
I don't know how he doesn't run out of breath, how he doesn't get a dry throat, because he is able to just and now you know what? Even just having that little bit of airtime is big for companies, small businesses that are on these race cars. And it's so cool that they do that. Everything that they've done this year, the walking taco, the drinks, the discounted drinks during the red flags, the specials for Bill Zardo, for Junior Hanley, for Slaughter. There's like, this is the way that we want to see having Track Tune. If I can't be at the racetrack, I'm listening on Track Tune and I'm loving it. We've never been able to have that before. So for us, can't wait to be back there. Thanks to all that they've done for this year. Thank you, Johnny, for coming on and being on the show. It won't be the only time, because we've got lots still to talk about with you in the future for sure. But Graydon, before we wrap up Sunset Speedway Month and our interview with Johnny Paradzinski, what would you like to say?
Oh man, you're a dad, you're a construction guy, you're a racer that